So I was taking a sneak peek at the NFL's Thanksgiving Day slate, and a lot of these Thanksgiving games just absolutely suck. I mean, nobody wants to watch the New York Giants take on the Dallas Cowboys. These are two of the worst teams in the NFL. And at this point, they're not competing for anything more but the first overall pick in next year's draft. You got the Bears taking on the Lions. The Lions are always a fun team to watch, but you rather them play a competent team than have to watch them play against the Chicago Bears, where the Bears have a head coach that is a dead man walking, and Matt Eberflus. They can't find ways to win a game to save their life. You thought they would have beaten the Green Bay Packers, but the moment you saw they had to go for a game-winning field goal to get that win, you knew they were going to miss it. You knew something was going to go wrong. Either it was going to get blocked, or the kicker was going to either swing it wide left or wide right. The Bears just are a team that finds new ways to lose every single week. The only Thanksgiving Day game that intrigues me is the Dolphins going on the road to Lambeau to take on the Packers. And the reason why this is going to be an interesting game is because the Dolphins, I believe they have the Patriots coming up this week. And one thing that we know about the Dolphins is that they're always going to win and dominate against the weaker teams. But when they go up against some of the better teams in the league, especially when they got to do it this late in the year in cold weather environments, they normally come out on the losing end. And I do like Mike McDaniel as a head coach. I do think that he gets a little bit overhated at times, because when Tua's healthy, this offense is one of the better units in the league, and Tua's a top 10 quarterback. He can win you games, he can get you to the playoffs, and right now, the playoffs have already kind of started for the Miami Dolphins. You can probably only afford to drop one game at this point, because I don't see the 7th seed being a 9-8 team. I think that whoever gets that 7th seed is probably going to have 10 wins. And right now, you could be competing with the Colts. The Denver Broncos could be in that discussion as well. Maybe you could have another team that comes out of nowhere and gets hot. Maybe the Cincinnati Bengals can find a way to get some stops on defense during this last stretch. You know, the Dolphins, this is as must-win as a game is what it gets for them. And this is the game that I'm the most excited to watch out of all three of these Thanksgiving Day matchups. And it's really the only game worth paying attention to unless you're a fan of any of the other teams that are playing. I mean, the Lions and the Bears is somewhat of a rivalry game. It's a divisional game, so maybe the Bears could end up playing that game close, because it's not like the Bears are getting humiliated in their losses. It's just that, you know, you're getting into these close games and you just don't know how to win. You give up a Hail Mary against the Washington Commanders. You get your game-winning field goal attempt blocked against the Green Bay Packers. You know, like, I could see them keeping it close with the Detroit Lions. Maybe this could be an interesting game, because Caleb Williams, he has kind of bounced back a little bit since they made the change, firing Shane Waldron and promoting their offensive coordinator from within to interim status. But it's just with the Chicago Bears, man, they just aren't a team that really excites me. When I just look at these Thanksgiving games, I'm just really disappointed, because I remember a time when, you know, on Thanksgiving, you used to see the Steelers and the Ravens playing on Sunday Night Football. If you're going to put games on Thanksgiving Day, a national holiday where everybody's going to be at home enjoying themselves, eating, you want to have your best games on display. You know, you want to have your best team showcase, because you're going to have the opportunity to pull in a lot of big ratings. And it's just, the Bears and the Lions aren't a game that makes me go, yeah, I definitely got to make sure that I'm up around 11, 12 o'clock to watch this thing. And the Giants-Cowboys game is more of a snooze fest to me. I'm trying to figure out at what quarter am I going to end up falling asleep during that Giants-Cowboys game. Am I going to fall asleep in the second quarter? Or am I going to fall asleep midway through the third quarter? Because at that point, I don't expect neither team to be playing for their playoff lives. You feel me? By that point, you probably could say that they all are but eliminated from the playoffs. So I'm just really disappointed with the slate of games that we got for Thanksgiving. This slate just sucks to me. This is one of the worst Thanksgiving slates that I've seen in recent memory. And don't even get me started on the Black Friday game that they have the day after between the Raiders and the Chiefs. I don't know why they keep hyping up the Raiders versus the Chiefs as a rivalry. That game is not a flipping rivalry. One team is competing for a Super Bowl every single year, and the other team is competing not to have the title of being the biggest laughing stock in the National Football League every year. So these Thanksgiving Day games and the Black Friday games are just games that I'm not really that interested in watching. Now, of course, I know there's going to be a lot of smart asses that come in the comment section and say, well, JT, if you don't want to watch these games, you don't got to watch them. And trust me, if I didn't have to watch these games, I promise you I wouldn't be watching them. But I have no choice but to watch them because it is my job to watch these games and have opinions about them. So I kind of am obligated to watch these games even if I don't want to watch them. So I'm kind of forced to. You feel me? So it's kind of like you know the NFL has to do better with some of these games. You mean to tell me that you can flex the Colts versus Vikings a Sunday night early in the season, but you can't flex some of these Thursday night games? You know it's just really disappointing to see a lot of bad football games being played on Thanksgiving. You should want to display some of your best teams, your best games on one of the biggest holidays of the year.